There is always a suspicion between the management and the workforce or the employees. What can you do about it? Perhaps must consider how an employee makes himself deserving for additional investment of infrastructure or drawing additional compensation. We must see whether we are talented. It's not adequate just to be talented. Perhaps even though an employee, and if you're a worker, if you have a talent, it's also very important to have additional skills, because the employer, the management may see you from the perspective whether you have additional skills that he can put to use. You may have a lot of skill and talent, but yet it's very important to graduate to have dexterity, domain expertise. So on one hand you have the talent, on the other hand the capacity and the capability of the individual is very important. The capacity means whether you are a team player, your soft skills are part of your capacity. So this is very important to enhance your capacity, because that's how the employer sees you. On one hand, has he got adequate talent? On the other hand, is he capable? And finally, especially to suggest a compensation, the management or the employer may also see whether you're a multi-utility person, your usefulness in cross-functional roles or rotation of jobs. Perhaps can you be trusted with money, or can you be given the job of interacting with consumer, with a client, whether you are a good interface for the company to the consumer, or whether you are better at governance and administration, or are you technically oriented that you have got good reasoning capability, your logic allows you to be highly technically oriented, whether you are good at information technology or other usefulness. So all these three things are very important for us to see whether we deserve additional infrastructure investment into us, additional compensation, and perhaps even ability of the company to retain our services and not to ask us to resign. And the management needs to graduate out of using terminologies. Currently in use is the word human resource, human asset, human capital. But we need to evolve. We need not look at human being as a resource to be used. Instead, we have to consider them as a very important integrated portion of our own business, of our own work. I would graduate to use the word human energy. Really, human beings are full of energy. We even look at alternative sources of energy. For example, now in vogue is words like recycle, the words like reuse. The reason is that we need to find alternative sources of energy for everything. We are looking at solar energy, we are looking at wind energy, we are looking at energy from water. Gone are the days of fossil fuel energies or even thermal energy. So everywhere everybody is seeking energy. We have not actually used human energy. What is human energy? If we are able to tap into human energy, it's going to be of immense advantage, because the more we tap into human energy, the less we need external energy to sustain our activities. Now, human energy is best tapped into if human beings also relate to some methodology of teamwork. For example, I need to sometimes make a climb down, compromise on my individual comfort and my individual need of convenience if I need to enhance collective teams' comfort and convenience. Because the more I need to foster my needs and my comforts, the lesser I'll be able to have a collective comfort or a collective convenience. So as an organization, it's very important for individuals to let go of their personal comfort and convenience so that the organization grows and the team becomes more bonded. And together the management must ensure the infrastructure, the comforts that is developed through collective work must be redistributed among all the stakeholders, among all the participants, all the people who made that success of that organization. And there the management must experience generosity, must express their generosity to all the staff, all the people, maybe maybe thousands or hundreds of thousands also, that came together to make a bridge happen, to make a big infrastructure project happen. Then the human energy can be harvested, can be used to its optimum for everybody's benefit. Well, there are multiple reasons why a stakeholder or a staff or an employee or a worker just does not want to deliver. It could be laziness or lethargy. It could be confusion of the sequence of how the work is structured or what to do first. It could be prioritization, whether what is important in their life. Is it the career, is it the relationships, is it the other investments, other sources of income, or it could be just mere stubbornness and adamancy, or it could even be anxiety within the person. Now, as management, we need to relate to these 5 categories of the worker's mind, whether it's anxiety, adamancy and stubbornness, laziness and lethargy. It could be also an attitude of I know everything. And if a person has this attitude that I know too much, I know everything, then there just is no room for them to learn. Or it could be confusion about the sequencing of the work, that is lack of clarity, or not knowing how to prioritize their personal living, professional living and social living. So as management, as people who know a little better, it's very important to categorize this and then to help the staff to get a clearer picture of where they stand, or give them a right context or the right background or even a right perspective. The worker also need to take responsibility to eliminate from them this anxiety, confusion, adamancy and stubbornness, or even confusion or lack of understanding how to prioritize what's most important to be doing at that given point of time. To this effect, the staff has to learn to meditate, has to learn how to do some breathing techniques, some stretches for the body in the morning, some yoga. They have to subscribe to yoga, meditation, breathing techniques, pranayama, and other ways to get a clarity of thought process, instead of keeping on blaming the management or other people in a situation where they are just not delivering as is expected or as is agreed in a service level agreement. It could be that an attitude, I know too much, or it could also be that they are afraid to do cross-functional roles, or some staff I have seen are little afraid to learn new trade or new skills because they are afraid if the management will impose on them more work to do, or if they exhibit their hidden talent, they are afraid that more work will be dumped on them. So they just refuse to do anything in a rotation of roles or even in a cross-functional role. So it's very important for a staff to allow himself to be of use, to do multi-functions and to enskill himself in doing various roles, and not be afraid that if I am seen capable of delivering more work will be dumped on me. This ignorance must be removed from the staff, and every individual has a responsibility to eliminate this ignorance and to be of utility in various multiple roles. So this comprehensive arrangements can enhance the productivity and performance. Well, how to measure the quality of the person? Well, perhaps some psychometric tools are there to relate to the quality and its measurement, but devoid of such understanding and in-depth knowledge and study of psychometric tools, perhaps we can just experience, we can understand the harmony in dealing with certain people. They just have a lot of refinement, the refinement that they express because they meditate, because they do breathing techniques, because they have clarity of mind, because they understand how the mind works and they work upon themselves to be of a good social person of great human value. And now these persons, we can see the refinement in them. See, now the quality at workplace cannot be measured only in churning out products in a supply chain, and neither can the quality of a person be adjudged or assessed merely on the shop floor behavior. Well, whether it is in a supply chain product manufacture or whether factory floor behavior, yet the refinement is evident. They say there is more harmony, there is more teamwork, and it is just the difference between walking near a garbage truck or whether you walk near a flower truck. Both are truck, both are mobile, both are in the same road, but people like to be around the truck that is carrying flowers and not the truck that's carrying garbage. So external assessment of productivity, performance, etc. may be incomplete if you have not taken into consideration the ability of soft skills in a person who is very refined through meditation. He is of great use and utility to the team. He creates a bond and he expresses less stress. He does not have any thought pollution in the company. Now, this refinement in human being, whether it is a shop floor employee or whether it is in the supply chain or in the programming cubicle or whether in the management quarters or management, whether it's in the boardroom yet, they are all people. Ultimately, there's a function and the way they express themselves. They express the function. Now, the way they express the function need not be only a technical orientation. It could be a human orientation, the way they express their work, the function. Now, that requires refinement. And now this refinement need to be quantified, whether this person is a meditator, whether he has got a learning about how the mind works, whether he is a socially valuable person because as he invested in himself being enriched in human values. Now these are the kind of staff the company would like to have. Now is refined person a luxury with reference to somebody else who is just functional? Well, I think if functional is a necessity and a refined functional person is a luxury, I think we should just discard necessity and focus on luxury. It's about the refinement of the person through meditation, through working upon himself, his mind, through meditative techniques, subscribing to yoga, and bringing this enrichment of refinement of human personality to the workplace. And he does that generously. Many times we do not take that into account when we compensate a person, whether it's a person who brings cheer or whether is he a person who brings pollution, whether is he metaphorically, whether is he a rose truck or a garbage truck, whether he attracts people, whether he has an appeal beyond just functional and technical expertise. Has he got an appeal of human values? Is he able to relate to various other people in different environments? So, absence of evidence of refinement so that you can quantify the quality is not equal to absence of refinement or evidence of lack of refinement. So absence of evidence is equal to evidence of absence of refinement. Therefore, even though you cannot quantify all refined behavior, they still are there in a meditator. Just here you can see they are all lawns. They are all very manicured lawns with various types of grass in this garden. But not all lawns are equally precious because some have been considered as more refined, more precious, more green, and there are some others which are walkways where people are allowed to walk over it. So similarly, not everybody on the same shop floor has the same expression of refinement. So everywhere there is a qualitative advantage which is visible and evident to sensitive people, to sensitive management, whether your staff is a meditator, whether his credibility, reliability and dependability is enhanced because of his depth and loyalty and dedication to his work, because of his clarity of his mind. And this lack of psychometrics to measure the refinement in a person perhaps is not an excuse. Therefore, it's very important to ensure that the staff expresses refinement in whatever they do. And that can be achieved if they are given some chance to meditate, to do some techniques of breathing and some learning about how the mind functions to enhance their interactive skills and their ability to interface with hostile environment too.